Well, the better part should rule over the worse. Oh, by doing what? How do you bring that condition about? I don't have it yet. Yeah. Let's see if we can do it again. We need a wisdom, and that wisdom is the knowledge that presides over this practice. Well, what's this practice? Well, the practice is what preserves this condition and works along with it in the state. Well, what practice is that preserves this condition that works along with the state? Do we have it yet? Oh, well, we can get it here. It's a knowledge of what is to its advantage. But we don't know what's to its advantage yet, do we?
The ascension to reality.
The what?
The ascension to reality. If you were looking for an answer.
Oh yeah, I like that answer. I like that answer. Yeah.
If we knew what was dangerous,
that's courage.
Well, that's the other side of advantage.
yeah.
Oh, I see your point. You mean, let's take a look at what courage is again. It's a certain power that preserves, oh wait a minute, we've got that idea here again. It's a practice that preserves, through everything, what is dangerous and what is not. Well then look here, what we need then is a quote. Make sure we have it. Well, here we have it. The city is brave by some part of itself because it has in that part such a power as will preserve through everything the belief that whatever the lawgiver declared in their education to be dangerous, that and only that was dangerous. Well then, look here. Let's try to put this into words then, all right? If you knew what was dangerous, and what was not, if you knew what was dangerous, and if you had a certain power, if you had a certain power, if you could get a certain power going, and without the power you can't do it, it has such a power, just a moment, as will preserve through everything, will preserve through everything. So here's a bunch of things that the person may go through. It preserves through everything a belief. Well, what is that belief? A belief that whatever the lawgiver declared in their education to be dangerous, that and only that would be considered dangerous and nothing else. So wait a minute, then what do you have to have? You have to have a very clear idea of what's dangerous. Then you need this power, don't you? You need this power, because you need that power because you have to preserve through everything. You need this power to preserve through everything this belief. Hey, this is where you have to cultivate a certain belief. You have to cultivate a certain belief. You have to cultivate it because you have to preserve that belief through everything, what is dangerous and what is not. Well, wait a minute. If you could do that, by the way, would that mean then that you would be ruling? Would you then be ruling yourself? Well, would that mean, therefore, you have a unanimous mind as to what rules, what should rule? You're in agreement as to what should rule and what should not? If you're doing this? Oh, would you then know what's what is to your advantage? That we don't know yet. Because all we know of, if we can get a good view of what's dangerous, might we see at the same time what's to our advantage? If so, then we don't have to know two things. Well, that would be a help. If we could then discover that idea of what's dangerous, well, we know one thing, it's in our education, it comes by the lawgivers. Might make us one out of many, be able to maintain that throughout. What kinds of things is it likely that we will have to go through? Because look here, all right, it will preserve through everything. Just what are these everythings? Well, luckily enough, on the same page, we've got it.
What page is that?
It's 429D, or in the Rouse, page 228. Let me read it to you. That which preserves the belief about dangers. What is dangerous and what is not, which law has engendered through education. And when I said through everything, I meant that it preserves this both in pain and in pleasure, and doesn't let it go either in desire or fear. So, well, that's easy now. We go back in here and say, this would be an experience of pain, pleasure, fear, right? That's what we have because that's all we need. And especially desire, that's everything. So wait a minute then. There's a certain belief, and you have to hold on to that belief through everything. You need a power in order to get that. And therefore, once you have it, you have to maintain this belief about what is dangerous through everything. What's everything? Pain, experience of pain, pleasure, fear, desire. He is not saying avoid pain and suffering. He's not saying avoid pleasure. He's not saying you have to overcome your fears. He's not saying overcome your desires. He's not saying any of that. He's saying, what do you have to have through all of them? You have to maintain a belief about what is dangerous and what is not. And you better get that power to do it, because without it, you're not going to be able to maintain it. Ah, all right. That requires a certain effort, a certain thing you have to then, hey, practice. You have to preserve that. That will bring about a condition of the soul. That will be its proper role. That will be the better part functioning, and that's how you'll rule.